Hello everybody, and I hope you are really well. I just thought I needed to do a little 30-second intro for this video about barn owls. Anyone who knows me knows that I do probably 50% wildlife and 50% landscape photography. This, as you may have guessed, is a wildlife video being about barn owls. But for all you weird landscape guys out there, you know who you are. There's a little bit of nice light in it as well. Why barn owls? Since I was about 10 years old, I've been fascinated by barn owls. I think they're the epitome of the sort of English countryside, as well as being a magnificent sort of photographic subject. And the last 10 or 15 years, I've also done a lot of conservation work for them, nest boxes and converting farmland back to set-aside, etc., etc. And I do some work with the Barn Owl Trust. So if you want to know about barn owls, go and check out the Barn Owl Trust in Devon's website. They are brilliant guys. They use some of my photos in their marketing stuff. And they do some amazing work, and you can buy nest boxes, but they'll tell you also all about habitat and things like that. The video, I was editing it, and I thought, this is going on a long time. So I've cut it into two parts to stop boring people to death. Part two, which I'll do next week, is really the third morning, when I have a couple of hours of really frustrating time and then a magical 5 minutes at the end, which is worth waiting for. I also talk a little bit about the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm going to talk about the techniques in there as well. Part one, this one you're watching now, is in really sort of two halves. It's 2 mornings out of the 3, the first and second mornings. The first was the morning after I'd been taking the dog for a walk, and we'd seen this barn owl hunting in a field that I've only seen a barn owl in probably 2 or 3 times in the last 6 or 9 months. So it was really rare, but I rushed back the next morning. The light was just gorgeous. It was misty, it was sunrise, and with those conditions, I had an idea to try and get some backlit shots, which are really tough to do, but you need soft winter light, and they are beautiful if you can get the light coming through the barn owl's feathers, and that was my whole target of that morning. And then sadly he was chased away by some carrion crows, so he didn't hang around very long. So I went back the next day, and the second part of this video, you're stuck in a hide with me for a couple of hours, I'm afraid. I'd set up a temporary hide, which was on one corner of this particular field, and I had an idea again for the composition of the light about where I wanted to be, so I was fingers crossed to get a particular type of shot that I'd thought about for a long time. And it turned into probably one of the most magical wildlife photography mornings I'd had, but it was a bit of a roller coaster ride, to say the least. But thanks ever so much for watching. Any comments or anything about barn owls, please feel free to ask in the comments down below. And I really hope you enjoy it. It was rather difficult to film and concentrate on my images, which with this light is really what I was trying to do. And as the sun rose, I really kept to concentrate on getting the kind of images that I described earlier, and that I was really after. And hopefully I did. I got 2 or 3 that I was really very happy with. Here you see the wonderful light as a habitat shot with the light coming through the owl's wings. And this is more of a detailed image, but it flew straight past me at a sort of 90-degree angle, and as its wings dropped, you can see how the light filters through again. And I'm very happy with that one. And this really was, it's more again a habitat shot, but more a day in the life of an owl, with the carrion crows that came along and scared him off right at the end of the shoot. And that was that for the morning. Right, there we go. Morning everyone, it's another morning down in the... I've put myself in my barn owl hide. It's a gorgeous morning. The moon's just setting in the distance. It's misty. While I was filming, of course, I didn't know whether I took the barn owl at all or not today. And as I was moving up towards my hide, of course, he appeared, so I literally had to jump behind a hedge, try and sit really, really still, and I've managed to get myself in here, hopefully without disturbing him. And as we speak, he's actually hunting. He's about 50, 60 yards away. I've actually moved position from before, and he's just there. And I've got windows in the side here, so I can monitor him. The problem is the lights now. I'm on, like, 8,000 ISO with a 400th of a shutter speed at f4 wide open, so it's really, really difficult. But hopefully I'll get you some shots of him flying. But the amazing thing is actually just to see him again. As I explained hopefully at the beginning of the video, that this is like 2, 3, 4 years work of trying to get these guys back onto this field. So I've just given you an idea. I've got my D4, which is not the highest resolution camera, but it's brilliant in low light, and it does 10, 11 frames a second, which is what I need. If the light gets much better, I'll switch onto my D810. I've got my 500mm. I'm using single point focus, which I'll explain sort of later why I use that. The worse the light, the less work I give the camera to do. And fingers crossed that he hunts for a little while. The other day he hunted for about an hour. So let's see if I can get some photos. One other thing I'm going to do as well is I'm going to go back to looking at my mass murderer. And my gloves as well, especially my left hand, which will be here. As you can see from that, as the light hits it, it's really bright, so as the light's coming through, the sunrise is actually coming from behind us, but as the light gets better, I don't want anything that helps, so I'm not going to worry about this other hand, but I am going to wear one of my gloves. Oh, make yourself look reasonable. Well, the light is now perfect, and the barn owl seems to have gone. He was only hunting for probably in the field for maybe 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. I've waited as long as I dare. And this is what's so frustrating. The light now is absolutely gorgeous. If I show you the light as the sun's rising behind, I'll just show you. When you've got conditions like that, and as I say, with the sun coming up, it's incredibly frustrating. But that's wildlife photography, so I'm going to stay here in the hide for a bit longer. And you never know, he might come back, maybe hopefully he's hunting in another field, but there aren't that many close by, so fingers crossed. We'll give it another 20 minutes, half an hour. Well, it's really frustrating. The light now is absolutely gorgeous. In fact, it's almost getting too bright. I've just had a look at my camera and what are we getting? It's like, you know, ISO 400. In fact, if I take my ISO down, you know, at ISO 100, I'm now getting 1,000th at f4 with underexposing a little bit for the whiteness of the air. Gotta get my hat straight. This is a Christmas present. Come on, Mr. Barnow. Well, it's now an hour after sunrise and the light's almost getting too harsh, and I don't expect the barn owl to come back now. The frustrating thing, if I was out doing some landscape photography, I'll be home having breakfast by now. I would have had the sunrise, got the mist, got the lovely frost on the ground. But with wildlife, you just never know, and this bigger frustration would be if I get up now and move, and I'll literally be back at the car looking over the field or on the way back to the car, and then you turn around. It's happened to me before where you see this wonderful white barn owl arcing away and usually landing, you know, 3 yards from your hide or something, or fighting off a golden eagle and 2 foxes. So I'm going to give it another 10 minutes. That's really interesting. I just took a test shot. Reason why you should take a test shot and experiment a bit. The temperature's rising a bit, but not much. So I just took a test shot. I thought, that looks a bit misty. And then I got to the front of my lens. I just checked, as you always do, check the front of my lens. You can just about see this. It's ridiculously misty. So it's funny how you wouldn't have. I didn't expect that to happen. I do always check. That's why I'm always doing test shots. Can you imagine if I'd, you know, literally taken had the shot of a lifetime there with a barn owl, and then I got them, they've all been misted up. Bigger frustration would be if I get up now and move. Right, it's all gone absolutely crazy. I was out of the hide. I was going back to get breakfast. And what did I say earlier about don't leave the hide? And I'd left it later and later and later, and I thought it's now 10 to 9, and I just so didn't expect him to be out at this time. It's so bright now, so I've had to rush back in. I couldn't film it. He's come past a couple of times. He's now on a post. I'll just film him for you so you can see where he is. But it's a bit manic, absolutely manic, trying to get back in, get this camera set up. The battery ran out on this remote camera. You know, it was running flat. It's a fortune. I bought a spare, so I managed to change that over when he stayed down there. I've got a couple of shots as he came past. He didn't land on these posts. I even bothered to sat down. I've actually changed over to from my default back to my D810 because the light's so good. And you just have to make sure. This is when you know knowing your camera really helps. And as I say, I've gone back to auto ISO 2000th of a second, you know, and hopefully the only problem is I'm still getting this steaming up issue, which doesn't seem, now I put the lens hood back on, it seems okay, but I've got to be so careful that the lighting and get my camera. He's coming very quick. He might get something. Well, I'm going to turn the camera around and get on my saw. I want to get ready for if he does land on these posts and get some action shots. So I think he's going to swing around again. I'm going to take this lens hood off because I'm worried that if I'm swinging the camera, he can see that it's sticking out of just at the front of the hide, as I spoke about. So so we'll see. But I'll turn you around now and I'll click record if he comes back. but he came quite close, so hopefully I got a little bit on this camera. And I got some lovely detailed flight shots. I've changed to my D810 just before he came past. The light's so good, and it's only 4 frames a second, which is annoying. Oh, he's coming back, he's coming back. Lucky lens is still steaming up. Oh boy. Hoping for. Now what you can see there, guys, you can see him in the far corner down. I don't know if I can shade down here, and I'm hoping he flies up to this post here. So I've set my camera up that if he does fly to this post, I don't think he will, but you've got to sort of prepare for the shot that you really want. And the idea that obviously he'd flare his wings up as he lands, you know, on this bigger post here. As he comes in, he'll fly in and they flare their wings out. But the light's amazing. I say I'm shooting at like, you know, 0.02 of a second. I'm using 80 ISO on my D10, which is crazy. He shouldn't be out here in this sort of light. But what I'm going to try and do now is not do any more flight shots. I've got some lovely flight shots. He's only hovered and dropped down a couple of times further away from me, so I haven't got that shot. But fingers crossed that he comes up and lands on this post. So what I'm going to do is be really still, not move my camera, and hope he lands on this post. I think it's just moving it left to right would actually scare him. Oh. Well, that was unbelievable. There's a couple of shots I've been trying to get, which are like, because it's so bright and I'm underexposing by over 2 stops now, 2 stops, 2.2 1/3 stops, it throws the background. If you get the background right, it throws it into darkness, and you just get the perfect bar. I think I've got a couple of there, so I'm really happy. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure he's gone now. I watched him and he headed off the way he normally comes in. I think I know where he roosts, and it's somewhere away, but I think he's had enough. He definitely hunted a couple of times. I missed that, which is a real pain. It was too far away to get a decent shot, but I wanted to try and get it on film, where he, the classic hover, and then he pounced, and he stayed down on the ground twice, which hopefully implies he got 2 meals, which would be enough to keep him going all day. I reckon they need between 2 and 4, and if he's hunting in the morning and the evening, you know, that gets going. They haven't got any chicks yet. Obviously, when we get to May, June, July, and they've got chicks, they're hunting so much more. They've got to catch 8, 10, 12, 15 a day. So hopefully this bit of land, which I've set aside and I've been working on for 7, 8 years, it's going to be really good for them, and help them have a successful breed this year. I hope you enjoyed that and enjoyed my morning. It's crazy. It's now 10 to 10. So he left about 15 minutes ago. I thought, I'm not going to make the same mistake again and get up and go. And I've got to go there anyway, but it was so lucky that I stayed just that little bit longer. So frustrating, but incredibly rewarding. Now time to go and get some breakfast. Yes.
It's over in a flash and you're on your way. Somebody near. It's open for tonight. It's not too late. My mind says yes. You've been here for quite some time, but my heart tells me you should stay. Bright lights and colors. Love is for the ones who dare to wait. No use in running when all I really want is to make you stay. My mind says yes. You've been here for quite some time, but my heart tells me stay a little while. Are we at the end or are we at the start? 129 beats per minute from my heart. Anywhere we go is where I long to roam. Night or day, I'm taking you all the way, 'cause my heart screams, let me carry you home. Candles, we are lights, we are believers, we are safe with each other, with each other.
One thing I will mention as well is just about focus points.
Are we at the end or are we at the start? 129 beats per minute from